What's up, YouTube? Today we're going to be looking at some potential new moves for Season 22, as well as any new move updates that we likely could see, or just some ideas to throw out there, because obviously this new move update should be a pretty large one. It should shake up the meta, so let's take a look at what we have planned today. First off, we're going to be taking a look at Aqua Jet. Aqua Jet is currently a terrible move. It is 45 damage, 45 energy. The reason I think this is going to get a buff is because Urshifu was found in the game files, and Urshifu learns Aqua Jet, but it's not one of its recommended moves because it's a bad move. So it is exactly 1 damage per energy. So what we're going to do is we're going to buff it by decreasing the energy cost by 10 energy and buffing the damage by 10 to make it a 1.57 damage per energy move, which is also a weather ball clone, basically. So the first Pokemon that learns this move is Dewgong. Dewgong typically is on Icy Wind and Drill Run. Aqua Jet is unfortunately still a legacy move on Dewgong, so even if it does get buffed, or it does get this Aqua Jet buff, then it's still, I think, you still have to use an LATM. So, but taking a look at the sims here, the top one is Icy Wind Drill Run, your just typical Dewgong moveset. The next one is Icy Wind Aqua Jet, but with the old Aqua Jet. The next one is Aqua Jet Drill Run with the old Aqua Jet, and that one is absolutely terrible. And then the fourth is Icy Wind with the buffed Aqua Jet, so the Weather Ball clone Aqua Jet. And then the last one is Aqua Jet Drill Run with the buffed Aqua Jet. So it looks like the Icy Wind Aqua Jet moveset does have the best record. So that's really cool, seeing a buff move actually increase its average and its win-loss record just a little bit there. And you can see the matchups that you pick up. You pick up Abomasnow, Ariados, Feraligatr, and Talonflame, but you do now lose Corsola and Darkspun. So the next Pokemon that learns Aqua Jet we're going to take a look at is Golisopod. Golisopod typically runs Liquidation. So this would just give it a cheaper water move, even though Liquidation is a pretty strong move. And as you can see down there at the bottom, so we have the typical move set with Shadow Claw, X Scissor, and Liquidation. And then below that is X Scissor with the old Aqua Jet. And then the third is with the current updated Aqua Jet that we are predicting. And it looks like, if anything, at best it's a side grade. So you pick up Ariados, but then you lose Diggersby and Marowak. So maybe you wouldn't want to use it on this Pokemon. And then the third Pokemon we're going to look at with this move update would be Wartortle. So for some reason in the Sims, it suggests using Water Gun, Ice Beam, and Hydro Pump. Hydro Pump is an insanely expensive move. Ice Beam is definitely no bait move, especially when your fast move is Water Gun, which has like 3 energy per turn or whatever. So yeah, not great. It does learn Aqua Jet, and even just with the regular Aqua Jet, it has a better, it sims better. So definitely would want to use Aqua Jet either way. That being said, with a buffed Aqua Jet, this Pokemon becomes a menace, and that's because Wartortle actually has some decent bulk with it. And then with a quicker energy generating move, and then with the Aqua Jet and Ice Beam coverage, it looks like a very strong Pokemon. You pick up a hell of a lot of matches, as you can see on the bottom there. The next one we're going to look at is Keldeo. Keldeo is not great. It has Poison Jab as a fast move. It's a fighting and water type. And this is simmed in the Master League, and if anything, so I think the current moveset is Hydro Pump and Sacred Sword, so we changed it to Aqua Jet Sacred Sword, and you can see the buff to Aqua Jet 1 does pick up 1 win, but it's still not great, below 500 average, and you're just picking up Xerneas, and that's the only difference there. But you know, as a fighter, picking up Xerneas is not bad. I mean, you get the poison jab damage plus the maybe neutral Aqua Jet, so you can just get to 2 moves or something. I don't know, but not great there, but still an upgrade. And then the last one we're going to look at is Urshifu, because Urshifu is probably the whole reason that this move would get a buff. And Aqua Jet, as you can see on the bottom 2 there, especially the last one with it, actually the buffed Aqua Jet, it does pick up 2 wins, so it's definitely an upgrade, but it's only picking up Palkia, Origin, and Solgaleo, and these aren't like bad wins. Palkia Origin is obviously a great pickup, but overall this is still not going to make it instant meta, but it's still going to be okay. 16 and 19 is a good record. The next buff that we're going to look at is Metal Sound. I believe Metal Sound is going to get +1 damage or 0.5 damage per turn in addition to what it already is. It's currently at 1.5 damage per turn for energy per turn move, which is decent on the energy, just really crap on the damage. So if we buff it to 2 damage per turn and 4 energy per turn, then it suddenly makes it a Mudshot clone. And Mudshot, while it doesn't see too much use in the current meta, it's still a decent move. And with Stab, I think this move could be pretty solid. So the first Pokemon we're going to take a look at is Wormadam Trash. We're all familiar with this Pokemon because of the recent Love Cup. And it actually recommends that you use Confusion with Bug Buzz and Iron Head. So that's the 14-25 record there. If you use Metal Sound, however, in its current state, it's actually already an upgrade for 17 and 22. So once again, not sure why PB Poke Sims with Confusion. And then we look at the buffed Metal Sound. We actually get a very neutral average of 500, so very, very balanced there. It does have a negative win-loss ratio, but it's still very solid, 18 and 21. And you actually pick up Carbink, Drapion, Dunsparce, Ralligator, Jumpluff, and Malamar. So all Pokemon that you probably should beat for the most part. Maybe not for Ralligator, that should be a pretty neutral matchup, but that might require bait for all I know. So pretty cool there. Dropping Toxapex and Primeape does make sense because Confusion is no longer hitting for super effective damage, and in Toxapex's case, the Metal Sound is actually resisted. So the next Pokemon we're going to look at is Bronzong. Currently running Confusion as well with an 18 and 21 record and a 434 average. With the current Metal Sound, it goes 13-26, so not great. But with the buffed Metal Sound, back up to 17 and 22 with a 421 average. Not bad, but this does seem like more of a side grade for Bronzong, so maybe not wanting to use it here. Of course, Bronzong does get Stab on Confusion, whereas Wormadam does not, so it kind of makes sense that Confusion would still be stronger here. You do pick up Guzzlord and Sandslash, which are pretty great wins for a Psychic Pokemon, but you do lose the Barrel, Charjabug, and Licky Licky. The next Pokemon we're going to look at is Magnezone. Now, Magnezone currently has a great record of 20 and 19 with Volt Switch. That being said, even with Metal Sound, it has a decent record. 18 and 21 is not terrible. But with the buffed Metal Sound, suddenly it's going 21 and 18. So it is definitely a side grade, but it seems like it's a slight buff. Maybe getting to that Wild Charge just a little bit faster, and giving a 2-turn move instead of a 4-turn move would definitely be nice. And we don't see many Steel-type fast moves. So you do pick up Cresselia and Guzzlord, but at the cost of Malamar. So maybe the Volt Switch damage just adds up on the Malamar, not really sure. That seems like that would be a bait dependent matchup. The next move that we're going to look at is a brand new move that I'm introducing into Pokemon Go called Leech Life. Now in the game, it does damage and it absorbs the damage and usually heals your Pokemon. That's not a feature at Pokemon Go yet. So what I've done is I've created a 40 energy move for 55 damage, which is a pretty low 1.375 damage per energy move. That being said, I'm going to make it have a 100% boost to the user's defense by 1 stage. Similar to Drain Punch on Beware, for example. And then the following Pokemon I'm giving this move that can learn it in the main series games are Parasect, Kabutops, Kricketune, Excelgor, Larvesta, and Volcarona. Why am I giving it to these specific Pokemon and not Pokemon like Ariados? Well, Ariados is already meta, and I also didn't want to give it to any like bulky Pokemon that can potentially learn this move, because giving it a cheap charge move that can then boost its defense even more doesn't seem like it'd be too balanced. So let's take a look at what these Pokemon can do with Leech Life. So right away we see Parasect, Kabutops, Kricketune, and Excelgor all on one page with their sims and very small. And why is this the case? It's because still none of them are great. All of these Pokemon do get a slight buff, but it's still not even enough to make them meta. You see Excelgor picks up like 6 wins there, Kricketune picking up 4, Kabutops even picking up 7, and Parasect picking up 2, but they still don't even become meta, and none of them even have a neutral-ish rating or win-loss record. So not going to look too deep into these. But the next Pokemon we're going to look at is Larvesta and Volcarona. Larvesta is small because, once again, it picks up 2 wins, but it's still not great, and that's in the Great League there. But Volcarona, look at that. The only Pokemon that seems to be benefiting from this move. It picks up Dialga, Enamorus, Mewtwo, Necrozma, Duskmane, Solgaleo, Ursaluna, and Yveltal. So very, very cool like wins there. It makes sense, right? Dialga, it should beat as a fire type. Well, I mean, that's a neutral matchup, but it's cool that it picks up that win. Enamorus makes sense. You should beat that Pokemon. You are a fire type. Granted, it does learn Fly, so that is super effective coverage on the Volcarona. Mewtwo makes sense. It's a psychic. You're a bug. You should win that matchup. Same goes for Necrozma. And Solgaleo, I mean, just hitting super effective with the fire spins and neutral with Leech Life. And then Ursaluna, that's just kind of an interesting one. And then Yveltal is a dark, so the bug is neutral. So giving it that extra bulk with a cheap charge move seems like it's really benefiting our Volcarona here in this scenario. So very cool. The next move that we're taking a look at is Extrasensory. It is currently a 2.66 damage per turn move and 3.33 energy per turn move. I'm going to buff it by 2 energy, which is 0.66 energy per turn. It's a 3-turn move, which makes it a 2.66 damage per turn and 4 energy per turn move. And while that seems like it would be a lot, it's actually not. This makes it a current double kick clone. So think Cobalion, Virizion, Double. But even with this buff, I looked at several Pokemon like Noctowl, Suicune, and they were downgrades for both. So let's take a look at some Pokemon that it wasn't a downgrade for. Grumpig. Yeah, Grumpig is garbage. It is the current record of 3-36 with Extrasensory. We give it the buffed Extrasensory and it goes 7-32. So this Pokemon desperately needs some help. It does pick up Annihilate, Ariados, Azumarill, and Chestnut, which are all great wins, don't get me wrong. But this Pokemon is very bad into the majority of the meta, and even with a buffed Extrasensory, it's not going to see a lot of play. But the reason we can't buff it too much is this Pokemon, Lugia in the Master League with the Extrasensory buff. So first of all, we're taking a look at its current record with Dragon Tail and its current record with Extrasensory, which is also already positive, which is pretty interesting. But then if we take a look at it with the buffed Extrasensory, it is insane. 22-13 with an average of 549. So this makes it super strong, picking up Enamorus, Florges, Kyogre, Mamoswine, Mewtwo, Palkia, Togekiss, Xerneas, Zacian, and then dropping Giratina and Zygarde. I mean, that's tough, but Giratina, you're not going to see too many of those, so at least in the current meta. That being said, it might pop back up if this buff comes to fruition, but we'll just have to see. So that's 2 Master League Pokemon that are benefiting from some buffs that we are targeting for the Great League. The next move that I'm introducing to the game is Whirlpool. I'm going to make it a fast move for 20 energy and 20 damage. It's going to be a 5-turn move for 4 damage per turn and 4 energy per turn. If you've seen these stats before, that's because it is a clone of the current Incinerate in the game, but obviously a water type. The following Pokemon that can learn this move, or at least that I thought would be okay to learn this move, are the Shellder and Cloyster family, Gyarados, Prinplup and Empoleon, Floatzel, and Lumineon. So let's take a look at how these Pokemon do with a new Whirlpool. So right away, we're going to look at Gyarados. We've got it here in the Great League there at the bottom, and then Ultra League and Master League at the top. In the Great League, it actually picks up a bunch of wins. Still not a positive record, but it does have a positive average, so very cool for Gyarados there. Obviously, it does have to drop Dragon Breath, but it looks like that actually helps Gyarados. Maybe getting a stab fast move would help it. And then in the Ultra League, it then actually goes positive with an average of 517, picking up a lot of great wins there. And then the Master League, look at that, 22 and 12. I mean, that's pretty incredible for an average of 584. It looks like it currently has a above 50% average, but has a win-loss that is not great. But this Whirlpool fast move would definitely benefit Gyarados a lot here. And while it does look a little bit overpowered in the Master League, I don't think it would be too overpowered, so upgrade for all. The next Pokemon we're going to look at is Cloyster. Cloyster currently runs Ice Shard, and while it has decent stats and a decent charge moveset, it's still not great for a 13-26 record. Giving it a Whirlpool fast move, keep in mind this is a 5-turn move, benefits it so much. It goes 21 and 18 for an average of 500. Obviously, it's not going to play exactly like The Sims. Fast move timing and all that kind of stuff comes into play against fast 5-turn moves, and also getting farmed down before you can even get to the next move kind of thing. But it does pick up a lot of wins. Picks up Abomasnow, Carbink, Corviknight, Darkspawn, Dugong, Greninja, Marowak, Sandslash, and Wiggly, and only dropping Guzzlord. And you're only dropping Guzzlord because you no longer have a super effective fast attack. So pretty much entirely an upgrade, but it's still super balanced, you know? That's what's really cool about it. And it would be nice to have a new Water Ice Pokemon in the meta. The next Pokemon that I kind of regret giving this move, and maybe is a reason that this Pokemon wouldn't be able to get this move, is Prinplup and Empoleon. Prinplup, actually, even though it's small in the top right there, has a positive record and a positive average, picking up loads of wins. And then Empoleon, yeah, I don't think you could give it to this Pokemon because it goes 30 and 9. I've never seen a win-loss record like that before for an average of 626, picking up so many wins. So, I mean, picking up at things like it should be like Annihilate, like even Chestnut. I mean, some of these are insane. Some of these it seems like you should already have beaten, but yeah. But having that water stab Whirlpool fast move would be a little bit overpowered on this Pokemon, and maybe a reason that this family couldn't learn it. I mean, maybe Prinplup could learn it, but maybe not the Empoleon. The next Pokemon we're going to look at is Floatzel. Now, Floatzel has an absolutely abysmal stat product. I'm talking like, I think it's like 1500 or something. It's insane. It's current record of 7 and 32 with, I think it's Waterfall maybe, or Water Gun, I don't know. But giving it Whirlpool, suddenly it goes 19 and 20 for an average of 521, picking up Annihilate, Ariados, Charjabug, Clodsire, Corviknight, Darkspawn, Drifblim, Malamar, Mandibuzz, Quagsire, and Wiggly, and only dropping Dunsparce. I have no idea how it drops the Dunsparce matchup, but clearly the 3 vs 5 fast move turn thing is coming into play here, and maybe it gets just fast moved down in the one shield, who knows. But yeah, Floatzel actually becoming meta and being a super glassy Pokemon would be really cool for this Pokemon. I think this is the last Pokemon that we're going to look at with this updated move. It currently runs Water Gun, and that is Lumineon, for a record of 16 and 23 and an average of 445, which isn't like the worst. But suddenly you give it Whirlpool, and it goes 25 and 14 for an average of 528, picking up Annihilate, Ariados, Corsola, Corviknight, Dugong, Gastron, Mandibuzz, Stunfisk. So the reason you're seeing a lot of the same Pokemon getting picked up by this fast move is just because these Pokemon have they take a lot of damage from like HP derived moved, and fast moves do a lot of damage to HP. So if you bump up the damage of your fast move while also making it a high energy generating move, of course, for the slow pacing of the 5-turn move, I think it's overall pretty balanced, but even giving these Pokemon an Incinerate clone seems to be really strong, but I don't think it would be too overpowered. I think that record is a little bit fluffed, but yeah, that is all the moves that we are going to look at today. I hope you enjoyed this concept video, and until next time, peace.